The massive consortium battleship Eternal Vigilance drifted through the void at the edge of the Sol system, its sensors constantly scanning the third planet below. For 800 years, the orbital monitoring stations had kept their silent watch over the dead world. Designated Terra-3. Fleet Commander Vextar stood before the main display screen in the ship's command center, his 6 eyes studying the glowing readouts. Behind him, dozens of crew members from various alien species worked at their stations, their voices creating a low hum of activity. The bridge smelled of recycled air and the metallic temps that always accompanied long space voyages. "Show me the historical data again," Vextar commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded fleets across the galaxy for over 2 centuries. The display flickered, showing ancient Earth as it had been nearly a millennium ago. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds swirling in atmospheric patterns, cities glowing with electric light, radio signals bouncing between communication towers, primitive spacecraft taking their first tentative steps beyond their home planet. The species showed promise initially, reported Lieutenant Colvin, his tentacles dancing over the control panel. They achieved nuclear fission in the early 20th century, developed basic space travel, even established colonies on their moon. And the 4th planet? Vextar nodded slowly. He had seen this pattern many times before across the galaxy. Young species would reach a certain level of technological development, then inevitably destroy themselves. It was so common that the consortium had established standard monitoring protocols for such worlds. But then came 2157, Colvin continued, highlighting a specific date on the timeline. Their final transmissions spoke of something called Project Haven. The messages were fragmented, desperate. They mentioned preparation for something they called the Long Silence. Then came the electromagnetic pulse. The display showed the moment when Earth went dark. Every light on the planet's night side vanished simultaneously. Radio transmissions ceased. The electromagnetic signature of their civilization simply stopped, as if someone had thrown a switch. The pulse wasn't nuclear, added Communications Officer Thylas, her voice creating harmonic undertones that indicated confusion. Our analysis showed it was artificially generated, but not from any weapon signature we recognized. It was almost like they turned off their entire technological civilization on purpose. Vextar studied the data with growing interest. In his long career he had catalogued the extinction of 47 different species. Some destroyed themselves with nuclear war, others with biological weapons or environmental collapse. A few had been eliminated by the consortium itself when they proved too aggressive or unpredictable. But he had never seen a species simply choose to go silent. "What happened after the pulse?" he asked. "Nothing," Colvin replied. "Atmospheric composition gradually improved over the following centuries. The radiation levels decreased. Plant life began to reclaim their cities, but no signs of intelligent life. No radio signals, no energy signatures, no space travel. The few automated probes we sent to the surface found only empty ruins and regrowth." The commander walked closer to the display, his clawed hands clasped behind his back. Something about this case had always bothered him. Most extinct civilizations left clear evidence of their destruction, craters from nuclear exchange, signs of biological warfare, or simply the slow decay of abandoned technology. But Earth was different. It was too clean, too neat. "Sir," a voice called from the sensor station. "You need to see this." Vextar turned as Ensign Verjak highlighted new readings on his screen. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from Earth's moon. The readings are unlike anything in our databases." The display zoomed in on Luna, Earth's natural satellite, where once there had been only ancient human mining operations and abandoned research stations. Now complex energy patterns pulsed beneath the surface. "How massive?" Vextar demanded. "Comparable to a consortium battleship's main reactor," Vorik replied, his voice tight with disbelief. "But the energy pattern is completely unknown. It's not fusion, not antimatter, not quantum resonance. It's something else entirely." Before anyone could respond, the communications board erupted with activity. Thylas quickly adjusted her equipment, her multiple arms working frantically at the controls. "Commander, I'm receiving structured transmissions from the lunar surface," she announced. "Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, basic physics constants. Someone is trying to establish communication protocols." The bridge fell silent except for the steady beeping of the incoming signals. Every crew member stared at the communications display as the impossible messages continued to arrive. "Run a full spectral analysis," Vextar ordered. "I want to know everything about those transmissions. Power source, transmission method, signal strength, everything. As the analysis ran, the commander found himself facing a question that challenged everything he thought he knew about dead worlds. If humanity had truly gone extinct 3 centuries ago, who was sending these signals? And why had they waited 300 years to break their silence? Sir Vorik called out again, his voice trembling slightly. The energy signature from the moon just increased by 300%. Whatever they're powering up down there, it's big. Vextar made his decision. After 8 centuries of assuming Earth was just another failed civilization, it was time to learn the truth. Prepare an archaeological survey team, he commanded. Full scientific complement, maximum security detail. Let's see what crawled out of that graveyard. Dr. Velanara adjusted her environmental suit as the shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. As the consortium's most experienced xenarchaeologist, she had explored the ruins of dozens of extinct civilizations across the galaxy. Each dead world told the same sad story of species that reached too far too fast and destroyed themselves. Atmospheric composition is surprisingly clean, reported her assistant, Dr. Morketh, checking his instruments. Oxygen levels are optimal, carbon dioxide is lower than our historical readings, and there are no traces of radioactive fallout. Velanara studied the surface through the shuttle's viewport. Below them stretched endless green forests, where once there had been massive cities. Rivers ran clear and blue through valleys that their record showed had been heavily polluted. Industrial zones. It was as if the planet had healed itself completely in just 3 centuries. There, she pointed to a section of forest where the trees seemed to grow in unnaturally straight lines. Take us down near that geometric pattern. It might be the remains of their urban grid system. The shuttle touched down in a clearing surrounded by towering oak trees. As the team disembarked, Velanara noticed something odd about the forest floor. It was too clean, too organized. The fallen leaves were arranged in patterns, and the undergrowth seemed deliberately maintained. Doctor, look at this, called out Surveyor Jexelin from near a cluster of boulders. These aren't natural rock formations. Velanara hurried over and saw what her colleague had discovered. The boulders were arranged in perfect circles, and when she looked closer, she could see they were actually made of some kind of advanced composite material designed to look like stone. Camouflage, she murmured. But camouflage for what? Her question was answered when the ground beneath their feet began to vibrate softly. The team watched in amazement as one of the fake boulder circles slowly rotated, revealing a circular opening in the earth below. Clean white light emanated from the opening, along with the faint sound of moving air. Ventilation system, Dr. Morketh said, his voice filled with wonder. This is an access point to something underground. Before anyone could decide what to do next, a platform rose smoothly from the opening. Standing on it was a young human woman with straight black hair and intelligent dark eyes. She wore simple gray clothing that looked both practical and somehow elegant. Welcome to Earth, the woman said, stepping off the platform with graceful movements. Her voice was clear and confident, speaking perfect galactic standard without any trace of accent. I am Dr. Park Minna. We have been expecting your arrival. Velanara's team exchanged shocked glances. According to all their records, humans had been extinct for 3 centuries, yet here stood one who appeared to be in her 30s, speaking languages that hadn't existed when her species supposedly died out. That's impossible, Dr. Morketh stammered. Our records clearly show that human civilization ended in 2157. How can you be here? Park Minna smiled, and there was something unsettling about the expression. It was too knowing, too confident for someone meeting aliens for the first time. Your records show what we wanted them to show. May I invite you to see what we have built during our long sleep? Without waiting for an answer, she gestured toward the platform. Please, step aboard. I promise you will find the journey educational. Velanara hesitated. Every protocol she had learned said to establish a secure perimeter, run full scans, and proceed with extreme caution. But her curiosity as a scientist overrode her training. She stepped onto the platform, followed reluctantly by her team. The platform descended smoothly into the earth, past layers of soil and rock that had been carefully carved away. Soon they were traveling through a tunnel lined with a material that seemed to glow with its own inner light. The walls were perfectly smooth, and Velanara could feel no vibration despite their rapid descent. How deep are we going? She asked. About 2 kilometers, Park Minna replied casually. We found that depth provided the best protection from your orbital sensors while allowing us to maintain our surface camouflage. The platform suddenly emerged into an enormous underground cavern that stretched beyond the limits of their lights. But this was no natural cave. The walls were lined with the same glowing material as the tunnel, and Valinara could see the geometric shapes of buildings rising from the cavern floor. "Welcome to New Sol," Park Mina announced as their platform glided toward a landing area, "one of 47 cities we have built beneath the surface of our world." Valinara stared in amazement at the underground metropolis. Thousands of humans moved through wide boulevards between buildings that seemed to blend organic curves with angular geometric designs. Gardens of unknown plants provided splashes of color throughout the city, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with energy. "This is impossible," Dr. Morketh whispered. "The energy requirements alone for a city this size would show up on our sensors, would they?" Park Mina asked, with that same unsettling smile. "We have had 3 centuries to perfect our understanding of energy manipulation. Your sensors detect only what we allow them to detect." As their platform touched down, Valinara saw humans stopping their activities to look at the visitors, but their expressions weren't curious or afraid, as she would have expected. Instead, they looked satisfied, as if they were seeing the completion of a long-planned project. Dr. Park Mina, Valinara said slowly, "Exactly how long have you been preparing for our arrival?" The human woman's smile grew wider. "Since the day we decided to disappear, Dr. Valinara. We have been preparing for this moment for exactly 312 years. Dr. Park Mina led the alien expedition through the wide streets of New Sol, her footsteps echoing softly on the smooth stone pathways. The underground city stretched in all directions, its buildings rising toward the glowing ceiling that mimicked natural daylight. Thousands of humans went about their daily lives, but Valinara noticed something strange about their behavior. "They all seem to know we're here," she observed, watching as humans would pause their conversations to glance at the group before continuing with their tasks. "But none of them appear surprised or curious." "That's because they do know," Park Mina replied simply. "Every human in this city is aware of your presence, your mission, and your species' history. We share information instantly across our entire population." Dr. Morketh stopped walking, his multiple eyes widening in disbelief. "Share information? How is that possible?" Park Mina gestured to a nearby plaza where a group of children were playing. As they watched, the children suddenly stopped their game and turned to look at the visitors. Their young faces held the same knowing expression as the adults. 300 years ago, when we made the decision to disappear, we knew we needed to become something more than what we were," Park Mina explained. "We couldn't compete with your technology or your military might, but we could evolve." She led them to a building that rose higher than the others, its walls covered in patterns that seemed to shift and flow like living things. Inside the walls were lined with screens showing images from across the galaxy. Valinara recognized consortium worlds, hegemony military bases, and dozens of other locations. "This is our observation center," Park Mina said. "From here, we monitor every major civilization in known space. We have been watching you for centuries." "Watching us?" Valinara's voice was barely a whisper. How a new voice answered from behind them. They turned to see a man approaching, older than Park Mina, but with the same confident bearing. "I am Dr. Kim Tae, chief of our external monitoring division. We have observation posts throughout the galaxy, invisible to your sensors and completely undetectable." He activated one of the screens, showing a live feed of what was clearly a consortium space station. Alien crew members moved about their duties, completely unaware they were being watched. "Your homeworld," Dr. Valinara Kim Tae said softly. "Orbital Station 7, where you began your career studying extinct civilizations. We have been observing it for 60 years. Valinara felt her legs grow weak. "That's impossible. Our security systems would detect any foreign technology, would they?" Park Mina asked. "Dr. Kim, please show our guests how we achieved this level of observation." Kim Tae touched his temple, and suddenly his eyes began to glow with a soft blue light. On the screen, the view shifted and moved as if controlled by his thoughts. "Neural interface technology," he explained. "We can connect directly with our monitoring systems, control them with pure thought, and share the information instantly with any other human. But that's not the most impressive part," Park Mina added. She also touched her temple, and her eyes began to glow. "Kim Tae, show them the network." Suddenly, both humans stood perfectly still, their eyes bright with blue light. Around the room, other humans stopped their work and their eyes began to glow as well. Then, one by one, every human in the plaza outside joined the connection. 50 billion minds, Park Mina said, though her voice now seemed to come from everywhere at once. All connected, all sharing the same knowledge, all working toward the same goal. Dr. Morkith backed toward the exit, his instruments beeping frantically. This is some kind of hive mind. They've lost their individuality, have we? Park Mina asked, and suddenly her eyes returned to normal. Around them, the other humans also returned to their individual activities. We choose when to connect and when to remain separate. We have not lost ourselves. We have found a way to become more than the sum of our parts. Velanara tried to process what she had seen. The electromagnetic pulse in 2157. That wasn't destruction, it was the activation of this network. Exactly, Kim Tae confirmed. We spent decades preparing for that moment. Every human on Earth was connected to the neural interface system. When we activated it, we disappeared from your senses because we no longer needed the electronic infrastructure. You were monitoring, but why? Velanara asked. Why go to such lengths to hide? Park Mina's expression grew serious. Because we studied your history, Dr. Velanara. We learned what happens to young species in this galaxy. The strong ones are seen as threats and eliminated. The weak ones are conquered or enslaved. The few that survive become junior partners. In civilizations they had no part in building. She gestured to the screens showing various alien worlds. We watched as the consortium guided 17 different species over the past 5 centuries. We saw what happened to those who refused guidance. We decided there had to be another way. So we chose to become something you could not predict, could not control, and could not destroy, Kim Tae added. We became patient. We became invisible. And most importantly, we became united in a way no species in galactic history has ever achieved. Velanara looked around the room at the humans going about their work, each one now representing not just themselves but the collective knowledge and purpose of 50 billion minds. What do you want from us? She whispered. Park Mina smiled, and, for the first time, it wasn't unsettling. It was sad. We want what we've always wanted. Dr. Velanara, we want to survive. Kim Tae walked to the center of the observation room, his hands moving gracefully through the air above a large circular table. As his fingers moved, holographic displays materialized around them, showing star maps, planetary systems, and detailed images of alien worlds that Velanara recognized from her own travels. Let me show you something interesting, Kim Tae said, his voice carrying the casual tone of someone discussing the weather. This is your homeworld, Velanara. The hologram zoomed in on a blue-green planet surrounded by massive orbital defense platforms. Velanara could see the familiar geometric patterns of her people's cities, the agricultural zones, even the university where she had studied archaeology decades ago. Beautiful world, Kim Tae continued, manipulating the display to show different angles. Your defense grid is quite impressive. 17 orbital weapons platforms, each capable of destroying a small moon. Your military engineers should be proud. Dr. Morkith stepped closer to the display, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. How did you obtain these images? Our homeworld is protected by the most advanced sensor networks in the galaxy. Kim Tae smiled and touched his temple. His eyes began to glow with that same blue light they had seen before. Because we've been there, Dr. Morkith. We've walked your streets, studied in your libraries, even worked alongside your scientists. This image was taken 3 days ago by Observer Unit 7, stationed in your capital city's central plaza. The hologram shifted to show a street-level view of the alien city. Velanara gasped as she recognized the exact location, the plaza where she had eaten lunch just before departing on this mission. Alien citizens walked past the camera, completely unaware they were being observed. That's impossible, she whispered. We would have detected any foreign presence. Would you? Asked a new voice. They turned to see another human approaching, a woman with short gray hair and intelligent eyes. I am Dr. Choi Hanna, director of our infiltration division. One personally. Spent 5 years living on your homeworld, studying your culture and technology. Velanara stared at the woman in shock. You lived among us for 5 years. I was a research assistant at the Galactic History Institute. Choi Hanna replied matter-of-factly. I helped catalog the extinction records of primitive species. Quite ironic, considering I was supposed to be extinct myself. Kim Tae expanded the holographic display, showing dozens of other worlds throughout the galaxy. Each one showed the same thing, detailed real-time surveillance of major alien civilizations. The Hegemony's fortress on Kepler-4 for 2b, he said, highlighting a massive military installation on a rocky planet. They call it impenetrable. We've had observers inside for 30 years. We know every weapon system, every security protocol, every weak point in their defenses. The display showed the interior of the fortress, with armored alien soldiers moving through corridors lined with weapon systems. But in one corner of the image, Velanara could see something that made her blood run cold. A human figure in maintenance clothing, working on an electrical panel while the alien guards paid no attention. Our observer there goes by the name Maintenance. Technician Class 7, Choi Hanna explained. The hegemony military has been trusting him with their most sensitive systems for 3 decades. He's actually helped improve their security in several areas. Helped them? Dr. Morkith's voice cracked with disbelief. Why would you help your enemies? Because they're not our enemies, Kim Tae replied. They're our neighbors. We have no interest in destroying civilizations that could become our partners. The holographic display suddenly expanded to show the entire galaxy, with thousands of tiny points of light scattered across the star map. Each point pulsed with a soft blue glow. Human observation posts, Kim Tae announced. Every major world, every trade route, every military installation. We've been watching everything for over a century. Velanara's legs gave out, and she sank into a nearby chair. The scope of what she was seeing was beyond anything she had imagined possible. How many of you are out there, observers? About 50,000, Choi Hanna replied. But that's just the beginning. The display changed again, showing what appeared to be empty space around various planets. But as Kim Tae adjusted the settings, shapes began to appear, sleek, angular vessels that seemed to bend light around them. Stealth ships, he explained. Our deep space fleet. Each one is invisible to your sensors and equipped with technology that makes your best warships look like primitive rockets. Dr. Morkith counted the vessels on the display, his voice growing quieter with each number. Hundreds, thousands. How many ships do you have? Enough, Kim Tae said simply. We could have taken control of any world in the galaxy whenever we chose. We could have conquered the consortium, the hegemony, everyone, but conquest was never our goal. Choi Hanna stepped forward, her expression serious. We spent 3 centuries learning from your mistakes. We watched as species after species destroyed themselves through war, conquest, and the pursuit of power. We decided there had to be a better way. The holographic display shifted to show scenes of cooperation, humans working alongside aliens, in laboratories, helping to repair damaged ecosystems, sharing technology to solve problems rather than create weapons. We've been quietly helping where we could, she continued. That breakthrough in fusion technology the consortium achieved last year, our scientists provided the key equations through intermediaries, the cure for the hegemony plague outbreak. Our medical researchers developed it and made sure it reached the right people. Velanara looked up at the humans surrounding her, finally understanding the full scope of what humanity had become. You've been protecting us, all of us. We've been preparing, Kim Tae corrected, for the day when we would finally reveal ourselves and offer the galaxy something it has never had before, a chance to work together as equals rather than conquerors and conquered. The communication arrived simultaneously on every inhabited world in the galaxy. On consortium planets, the message appeared on every screen, every communication device, every digital display. Despite their most advanced security systems, on hegemony worlds, the transmission bypassed military encryption and reached directly into the command centers of their most secure installations. Even primitive civilizations that had barely achieved radio communication received the signal clearly through their simple receivers. Lee Jun stood in the center of New Seoul's main assembly hall, but his image was being broadcast to billions of alien beings across thousands of worlds. Behind him, representatives from 47 underground human cities had gathered, their faces calm and determined. The moment they had prepared for over 3 centuries had finally arrived. Citizens of the galaxy, Jun began, his voice carrying, clearly through translation systems that somehow understood every language in known space. I am Lee Jun, speaking on behalf of the human species and the 50 billion minds that comprise our civilization. On the bridge of the consortium flagship, Fleet Commander Vexstar watched the transmission with growing alarm. His communications officer had tried desperately to block the signal, but it seemed to bypass every defense system they possessed. For 800 years, you have operated under a simple system, June continued. Elder species guide or control younger ones. The strong dominate the weak. Those who resist are eliminated. You have told yourselves this brings order to the galaxy, but we have watched, and we have learned the truth. The image behind June changed to show a map of the galaxy, with different regions highlighted in various colors. Red zones marked areas of constant conflict, yellow showed regions under strict alien control, and tiny green dots indicated the few places where species lived in genuine cooperation. This is your legacy, June said, gesturing to the map. 90% of the galaxy, locked in patterns of domination and submission. Resources wasted on weapons instead of exploration. Scientific advancement slowed by fear and secrecy. Entire civilizations destroyed because they dared to develop independently. Dr. Velanara, still in the underground city, watched the transmission alongside her human hosts. She could see Park, Mina, and Kim Tae standing among the assembled representatives, their faces reflecting the determination she heard in June's voice. We could have joined this system, June continued. When you first discovered our world 8 centuries ago, we could have sought your protection, accepted your guidance, become another junior member of your galactic order. Instead, we chose a different path. The display changed to show images of Earth during the electromagnetic pulse of 2157, but instead of destruction, the images showed millions of humans calmly entering underground facilities, leaving behind empty cities that would slowly be reclaimed by nature. We chose to disappear, to use the silence you interpreted as extinction to become something new. We spent 300 years not as your subjects, but as your observers. We learned your languages, studied your cultures, analyzed your strengths and weaknesses. Most importantly, we learned from your mistakes. On worlds throughout the galaxy, alien leaders watched in stunned silence as the impossible broadcast continued. Some tried to contact their military forces, only to discover that their communication systems were no longer fully under their control. Today, we offer you a choice, June announced, his voice growing stronger. Join us in building something the galaxy has never seen, a true community of equals. No elder species controlling younger ones, no domination through force or fear. Instead, cooperation based on mutual respect and shared knowledge. The display behind him showed images of the technology humans had developed during their isolation. Cities that worked in harmony with their environment, energy systems that could power entire worlds without pollution, medical advances that could eliminate disease and extend life for any species. We offered to share everything we have learned, June said. Our technology, our knowledge, our methods of peaceful cooperation. In return, we ask only that you abandon the old ways of thinking that have kept this galaxy locked in cycles of conflict for millennia. As if responding to an unspoken signal, the space around every major world in the galaxy suddenly filled with ships. Not dozens, but thousands of vessels that seemed to materialize from nothing, their sleek forms clearly visible against the stars. They took no aggressive action, made no demands, but their presence made the message unmistakable. Fleet Commander Vexter stared at the display showing 17 human ships surrounding his own vessel. Each one was larger than his flagship, and his sensors could detect weapon systems that operated on principles his science teams couldn't identify. We could have taken control of your worlds at any time during the past century, June continued, as if reading the commander's thoughts. We chose not to, because conquest was never our goal. But make no mistake, we will not allow the old system of galactic domination to continue. The human ships around each world began broadcasting their own messages, offering detailed proposals for cooperation, technology sharing, and peaceful integration. The communications came in perfect translations of every local language, clearly crafted by minds that understood each civilization's specific needs and concerns. The age of elder species controlling younger ones ends today, June declared. You can join us in building something better, or you can watch as the galaxy moves forward without you. But you cannot continue as you have before. On Earth, in the depths of New Sol, 50 billion human minds waited patiently for the galaxy's response. They had spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment, and they were ready for whatever came next. The age of human silence was over. The age of true galactic cooperation had begun.